Ladies and gentlemen, if there are times where I just can't help but feel smug at being right about something, I'd probably never do it. Like, I cannot feel like a smug bastard and basically have the fuck you, I was right. Because, let's face it, Cyberpunk and Castlevania shouldn't work, most would say. Castlevania and Cyberpunk shouldn't go together, most would say. But then there's that little few, that small bit that says, to hell with you, we're gonna do it anyway. And Critical Darling is one of those guys. Critical Darling basically said, fuck you, hold my beer. And did so in the sense that he loves Cyberpunk as much as I do, and created a story so far that is only one chapter, mind you, but dear God almighty, if it ain't interesting. So what is the story of this Castlevania Cyberpunk, or as it's amply named, Castlepunk, A Legacy Reborn? The whole story revolves around the first episode of course, Castlevania. However, unlike before, this one is what would happen if Adrian was there, their son, Alucard. And let's just say that shit gets real quick, and because of it, they have to hide from the church by going to sleep. By going into cryo-sleep. And by cryo-sleep, I mean 600 years of sleep. Jesus Christ. And believe me when I say that cryo-sleep is nothing to sneeze at. But 600 years pass. The year is now 2016. 2 corpo wars have already passed, and the third one's already starting up. And Dracula and his family are awakened to the futuristic world of 2016, of the 21st century. Well, Cyberpunk's 21st century. And what happens? They're introduced to many things, one of which, of course, being brain dances, learning of what happened as they were asleep. And apparently Isaac and Hector, along with those loyal to Dracula, did their best to keep the kingdom as whole as they could. But Carmilla, of course being Carmilla, attempted to seize power and created a civil war. The last of the Belmonts, of course, joined up under Tepesh banner, and the hopes of his line being protected and continued, not being wiped out. Of course, this deal was agreed to. Of course, he meets Sypha, and, the Belmont line continues. But that's not all. They create, of course, Tepesh Industries, a mega corporation that controls Europe from behind the scenes, of course, and rules over what was, at one point in time, was Wallachia, but now is all of Romania. Dracula is not only, of course, the king of all vampires, but is also now the king of not only Wallachia, but also king of all of Romania. And believe me, that is a hell of a shock to him, especially when he finds out that now vampires are able to go out into the light, no longer be fearful of the sun's deadly rays. And honestly, that was kind of a nice introduction, of course, with the Cyberpunk's biotech engineering, because if you really do think about it, if you were a vampire in the Cyberpunk universe, you could literally alter your DNA to be able to be essentially like a Dampia, or a daywalker, essentially, and be able to walk out into the sun and not fear being burned alive, more or less. Not only that, but the descendants of Hector and Isaac is Heather and Julia. Now, how that plays into the story itself, you'll have to read for you, because I'm not going to spoil fucking everything, but what I will say is this. After all is said and done, and Dracula, of course, goes to his office, his beautiful office, he's met by an old friend who happens to look a lot like Sir Christopher Lee. And the conversation they have sets up a lot for the story. Now, whether or not, of course, this continues on the Cyberpunk Red route, which of course is the tabletop game, or even Cyberpunk 2020, is also one that is up to the author. However, I am hoping the author does take advantage of edge runners, and we see how the story could have been altered should, Tepesh Industries, or if his son goes into Night City, Alucard Industries. Let's face it, that's exactly how it would be. I mean, going off of course, the video game developer story from his Castlevania reaction story, let's face it, that's exactly what it would be. We got Tempest Industries, and then we got Alucard Industries. Let's face it, that's exactly what it was going to be. That's exactly what's going to be. But again, I could be surprised. You know, things could change. But I could see instead of the, of course, four-eyed son of a bitch literally betraying them, I could actually see them being subcontracted out by, of course, Alucard. Because, you know, Arasaka being Arasaka, because fuck you, Arasaka. You know, I could see them being enemies, and as such, they need some information. And because Arasaka, for some reason, is so interested in David, and of course, you know, Alucard, being able to use his vampire powers, I'm not going to say they read minds, but honestly, with how much OP bullshit vampires have nowadays, especially with anime, I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if those motherfuckers could read minds. I'm really not. But, let's face it, if it is, of course, the ability to read minds, then who knows? Maybe they know. And maybe because of that, Alucard is doing everything he can to put incentives forward for David and, of course, Lucy to basically, you know, be alive, be happy, be free. And hopefully Queen Rebecca is saved, because Rebecca is my spirit animal, goddammit, and anything to save that adorable, murderous little hellion would be worth it. But whether or not the author does decide to actually incorporate edge runners into it, I don't know. Again, it's not like I'm on speaking terms with them, it's not like I'm attached to this project or anything, so fuck you. But if you want to read this yourself, ladies and gentlemen, link down below in the pinned comment is, of course, the link to this lovely thing, as well as the fanfiction.net version if you don't want to go to the Wattpad version. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Owl, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen in the story. How do you think the world of cyberpunk will change now that, well, real fucking vampires are a thing, and that Dracula is alive and running a mega corporation that literally controls Europe from behind the shadows, and his son is alive, as well as his wife, of course? How do you think the world's going to change now with Tempest Industries? How will the Fourth Corpo War look with Tempest Industries? And, you know, as a whole, like, give us suggestions down below, because honestly, I want to see your comments. And knowing the author watches my videos, he'll probably be looking at the comments as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I've been Airsoft, and I shall see all you lovely, lovely people in Night City. And hope to God you guys donate to the PayPal so I might be able to get some cyberpunk gear in. Because I'll be honest, I kind of want a cyberpunk jacket and the cyberpunk blasters that are on the market right now. Till next time.